Good morning, everybody. Keith Engel here with TGI Sports Talk Sunday, stream of consciousness. How is everybody doing today? Sorry for the long intro because I had to run over. I realized during my appearance on Mac and Jack, I'd left my coffee and my water around the corner. So anyway, happy Sunday to everybody. Good to see you with us. As I promised, every week. DDH, thumbs up to you, bud. Welcome everybody watching on Northeast Streaming Sports. Let's talk sports. Of course, TGI Sports Talk page. You'll also see us live on Roku at 8:30 now on Sundays, but can't comment there. So just remember that. Excuse me. Good to see you guys. Big weekend in sports again. We'll talk a lot about. We'll get to some stuff maybe we didn't get to Friday on the stream of consciousness or the. Are you serious as well? I'm trying to fix my. That's a little better. Lots of college football news to talk about yesterday, right? Great game in Washington, Oregon. We just had a spirited debate, and I'll talk about Dan Lange's decisions on fourth down. I agree with one of them, not all three, though. Huge game there. North Carolina with a big win last night. Notre Dame with a big game against USC. We knew this would be a shootout. I just bet the over. And by the way, Caleb Williams probably fell out of the Heisman. You saw the two of the best quarterbacks in the running in Penix and Nix yesterday. Drake May with a great game last night. Brock Bauer, who I think is in the race, gets hurt. We'll talk about that. By the way, big Heisman moment last week for Dylan Gabriel. And a big Heisman moment yesterday for Michael Penix. So we'll talk all about that and also the other scores. We got Major League Baseball with the League Championship Series getting started tonight. Why have there been so many games? The Diamondbacks don't play till tomorrow. I believe they wrapped up their series on Wednesday. I know they couldn't play until the Phillies were done, but why are they waiting till Monday? This is what's wrong with baseball. I don't understand. We'll talk about some other news, maybe some managers in trouble if we have time. NFL, we'll talk about everything going on there. We'll give you my picks and some injuries, obviously, with Jefferson out. Cousins is, it sounds like, has said he will not waive his no trade. So Jet fans, you're not getting Kirk Cousins. And I don't know what McVay's status is today. He's having a baby. Well, his wife is having a baby. But we'll talk about all of that and your topics more. We hope to be joined by Jim Jeffcoat today, but Jim Jeffcoat. Jim Jeffcoat's on a different show. Jim Biringer today. But Jim has got a big hockey game at 10 o'clock. So we gave him the morning off. Who we got with us here so far? Dave Guyette, good morning. Drew, that time of year when all the sports are going full out, I know it's I love it. But there's so much to, this is Saturdays are a long day because I'm watching football basically, with the pregame shows and everything from 10 o'clock until midnight. Unless my wife has something planned for me, of course, then I'm watching it on my phone as best I can. Today we got the NFL. I think there's a 9:30 game again today. So that'll go till midnight tonight. You got the baseball starting tonight I think the Astros and Rangers would be a great series. I did misspeak Friday a little bit. I thought there was 3 wild card teams, and I forgot Houston. I was away, remember? I think Houston. I didn't realize Houston won that. Kenny, good morning. How are you, Kenny? Next week we'll try to get on Eagle Crest. I'll message you during the week. We'll check the weather. I do have to play and get home by. I don't want to play early because of the season. So maybe we'll play at 10. If I'm home by 3:30, I got to drive to CIA to dinner down in, I forget where that, Hyde Park, I think. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. It was a great start this morning on Mac and Jack. We had a great debate about Dan Lanning, and we'll talk about that probably off the top here, the Oregon-Washington game, because it's exactly why Saturdays are so much better than Sundays, guys. This whole day in that Oregon-Washington game, if you watched it, the energy, listen, I love the NFL. It's not even close to the energy and excitement that goes on Saturdays. And not just at these big games, almost every game. And we'll talk a little bit about the Colorado meltdown. I didn't mention that off the top. Good morning, Anthony Price. Good to have you with us this morning. Rick did call me out, by the way. I was watching at a wedding yesterday. My wife was not happy. That's the curse of the cell phones, man, because I've got my phone. Listen, if there's sports on, don't expect me not to watch. It's the way of the world. I don't want to anger my wife. I don't want to anger anybody, but I can't. I've got to do what makes me happy. You want me to sit there miserable, I'll be happy. Oh, come on, Kenny. We'll talk about this. We're going to get into this Oregon thing. Oregon Ducks quarterbacks are so bad. Listen, the wideout. Here's the thing. There were some plays where, and we'll get into this now, and we'll go through some other scores too of the top 25 and maybe some other games of interest. But this is the one we'll spend the most time on. We'll probably spend some time on Colorado. And some other topics in college football. The cornerbacks weren't as bad as you would think because Bo Nix has got like 5 guys who can just throw the ball up and they go get it. And I saw some great coverage that he threw into and trusted his wide receivers to go get the ball. And I'll get to the Dan Lanning thing in a second. And Kenny obviously disagrees with me. And you lost 2 starters. Listen, it was a great college football game. Let's start there. Back and forth in the first half and the second half. Oregon went ahead. It kind of looked like whoever had the ball last was going to win, and it even looked like that at the end. But Oregon could not put one last drive together to tie that game or win it. A missed field goal. Listen, we don't want to blame the kid who actually missed the field goal, but we want to blame the coach. Let's look at this. Dan Lanning is an aggressive football coach. Dan Lanning could not have, and I'm only going to talk about 1 fourth down. He went for it 3 times on 4th down, missed all 3. At the end of the half, he should have kicked the field goal. All right, he would have made it, I think, a 1-point game. I think it was 22-18 at the time. Should have kicked the field goal there, dude. To me, that was just foolish. I don't remember the second opportunity, and quite frankly, I don't care because the one that really matters is the one with a minute, 48 minute, 50, whatever left, and he's got a 4th and a couple yards, just past midfield. He played to win the game. If you punt, you're playing not to lose. If he had punted that ball and lost the game anyway, every single person who's ripping him today, maybe not every single one, almost every single person would be ripping him for kicking the ball away and not going for the win when he had it. I have had a coach for 20 plus years who's not that good now right now in the NFL who's played that exact kind of football. You get 4th and short with a chance to put the game away. That game is over. Remember. And if you don't think, I was going to say Dylan Gabriel, if you don't think Michael Penix Jr. could take them 80 yards, look at the way they went down for 50. There's another thing to remember. They also scored, and I don't understand. Everybody's ripping Lanning. I don't know what happened to either the officials or the Washington coaches. Now, you got to score a touchdown. They scored in like 11 seconds, guys. You got the ball back. How did the clock not run after that first completion down to, I don't know what it was, 15 or 20? The clock stops on the first down inside 2 minutes still, but it never started again. Oregon never called timeout, and they stood around for about, I don't know, it felt like a minute. And then when I start the game clock, the play clock still had 36 seconds on it, and they snapped it with 34. So I don't know what they were paying attention to there. Listen, these are 2 good coaches. Dan Lanning is going to get ripped no matter what he does. You guys, everybody's entitled to their opinion there, and hindsight is 20/20. But I will tell you, when I watched it in real time, I said, That's a ballsy call. If he gets it, he's a hero. If he loses, he's going to be the GOAT. That's the way it works. That's why these guys get paid a lot of money. That's why they get paid a lot of money. And you know what he get paid a lot of money to? Go out and win games. Don't play not to lose them. And that's what I saw Dan Lanning do yesterday. If he punts, he's playing not to lose. If he goes for it. Again, I talked to, I can remember years ago an NFL championship, NFC championship game. Eagles, when Andy Reid was there, and the Packers. And Andy Reid had a 4th down and punted the ball away. 4th and very short, punted the ball away to Brett Favre, and he lost the game. So anyway, I don't mean I didn't like it, but some common sense needs to happen. I think he used common sense, Kenny. I really do. Again, if you want to go by the book, you punt the ball. Safest thing you can do is punt the ball if you're worried about what people are going to say and think. I think if you trust your football team, you can't trust your football team to get 2 yards in a critical situation. Maybe, and again, he said he trusted his defense. We were arguing on the Mac and Jack show about he should have kicked the ball to trust his defense. Well, he's trusting his offense, and then if they don't get it, he is trusting his defense. They had played pretty good defense in the second half. The scoring had slowed down considerably, especially in the fourth quarter. So again, I mean, you can argue this back and forth, and there's probably no. I'm not saying I'm right, but my opinion is he made the exact play call could be different. We can argue that, but the actual putting the game away, what you should do. Good morning, Neil Bush. Haven't seen you a bit. Good to have you with us. How does Notre Dame get embarrassed by Louisville and then put a whooping on USC? Well, I can tell you very well, and Louisville did lose yesterday, by the way, so their bubbles burst. They didn't. Lee Corso called this game on ESPN Game Day yesterday. He was his pick for this. Pittsburgh was his pick for the Superdog, and he said they wouldn't just cover the big spread; they would win the game, and they won it handily. But Louisville has a better defense, and the answer is pretty easy. USC's not very good. Their defense is still atrocious. Atrocious. No, and that's not to take anything away from Notre Dame. They played much better. Kenny, congratulations on this big win. But USC can't play defense. USC is going to take a tumble in the rankings this week. I don't think Oregon fell that far. Will fall that far, and I think they may be out before the show's over. Usually, I forget to look again. But I don't think they'll fall very far, maybe a couple of spots. Got to look at what happened behind them. North Carolina may move up into the top 10 with a nice victory over Miami last night. Drake May, I think we found out a couple things last night, too. Caleb Williams will not win a second consecutive Heisman. There was already going to be a bias because they don't want to give it to somebody twice. And you've got guys, Dylan Gabriel last week with a Heisman moment with that drive against Texas. Michael Penix with his drive yesterday. Bo Nix did not play badly yesterday. Drake May played great last night. To me, they're the four guys that should be in this race, and maybe Brock Bowers, unless he's going to miss significant time now. Brock Bowers might be the most impactful player in the country. And watching Oregon and Washington, Oregon yesterday, you may have, and again, I like Georgia. I say Georgia should be number one until they get beat. And I do like Georgia to win the national championship. They're getting better, I think, assuming Bauer gets healthy. But you may have watched the best two teams in the country right now at 3:30 yesterday. Exciting football. And this is why Saturday's so much better than Sunday, right? Love the NFL. Where do you get the energy? I don't care what game you're watching, really. No, maybe if you were watching Penn State, UMass goes and gets their ass kicked for $1.6 million. They got paid to go play that game in Happy Valley, 63-0. I hope they spend the money well. And Penn State did a great job getting ready for Ohio State and Michigan back to back, didn't they? Great job, smart, brilliant people at Penn State. Anthony, I don't know. We didn't double Romy. Well, Rome. Sorry, Adunas. Great. Listen, there. How do you double team him though? Because he's got other great weapons too. That's why it's so hard to double that kid. And I think on the last play though, he wasn't doubled. If wasn't he? He was doubled on the play down the field. Wasn't that him that caught the ball the first play on the last drive? Anyway, that kid was double covered and he just went up and got the ball. Great players. Those are some great. You saw some great athletes, and you saw some good coaching. You can say whatever you want about Dan Lanning. Fine. Everybody's opinion is worth as much as mine. Dan Lanning and DeBoer are two of the best coaches in football right now. Notre Dame defense played great. That's a thing that gets lost. I ripped the USC defense, but Notre Dame's defense played very well. Caleb Williams threw 3 interceptions last night. And as I said, I believe Notre Dame took him out of the Heisman race for good last night. The offense played subpar. Well, the offense did score 40 points. I guess we'll attribute that to USC's defense. Oh, actually, they scored some points on defense, didn't they? And they got the ball in a really good field position a lot of times too, which is, again, that's part of having a good offense too. So, but you're right. Listen, this is Notre Dame. Give Marcus Freeman some time. This man's grown into the job. I know he's getting ripped in certain places after the last couple of weeks, last 3 weeks. But I kind of like Marcus Freeman still. Neil Bush, typical Lincoln Riley team. Look at something's going to happen. Alex Grinch has got to get has got to get fired. You're not going to get fired during the season like Tom Allen fired his offensive coordinator at Indiana. Doesn't do any good. Indiana scored 3 points or 7 points yesterday. Doesn't make any difference. You know, you can't change the entire scheme for these college kids in the middle of the season. So, but I would think Alex Grinch will be gone at the end of the year, and they've got to get a different defensive coordinator with a different philosophy. I mean, they brought some good transfers in there to fortify that defense this year, but didn't change the scheme. So what's the problem? Seems pretty simple. It's coaching. What's Rick got here? Kenny called me out on special teams last night after Notre Dame ran the kickoff back. This after they gave up a return to set up a score for USC. Listen, special teams, we talk about a lot, and Rick talks about a lot. And I say a lot of times special teams gets lost. And when you're looking at teams that are evenly matched, look at the special teams. I saw pretty good special. There's a game I was watching. Crap, I can't remember what game it was, but I thought special teams were exceptional. And sometimes one team's special teams look bad because the other team's special teams are so good. So I think Florida State plays pretty good special teams myself. Big win for them yesterday. I like that kid that played the lacrosse is now a big part of the offense. I remember this story, Kenny. I don't remember which kid that is, but listen, a lot of great football players have been great lacrosse players. Jim Brown is thought to be the best lacrosse player ever in college, ever at Syracuse, and we know how he played at football. And also Hogan, I can't think of his last name. He's a wide receiver for the Patriots and Bills, and might still be in the league. Can't think of his first name right now. He was a great lacrosse player. So, and by the way, I'm not comparing Jim Brown to Hogan at all. Notre Dame defense scored only 14, or offense scored only 14 points. Good point. So, and again, we knew they were better defensively than they were offensively anyway. So, I think the fact that I agree with Kenny that unfortunately Notre Dame played themselves out of any chance for a national championship, but Notre Dame will be alive for a New Year's Day bowl. So let's go through the rest of the scores quickly. And we'll see make some comments here on on each one of them, or most of them. And I had a couple other games to note. I jotted down. If you've got other games, I know Neil's here. We can talk about South Carolina's high-scoring affair, and I believe loss to Florida. Is that I didn't jot that down, but I believe they lost by 1 to Florida. If I'm wrong, I apologize, Neil. Georgia 37-20 over Vanderbilt. You know, Brock, a very efficient game again from Carson Beck. They ran the ball well. Edwards ran for 146 yards. Big story here, though, Brock Bowers' injury, I believe an ankle sprain. His availability the remainder of the year will be important. You probably don't need him to win some of these upcoming games. Their schedule during the regular season is not that daunting that they can't win without Brock Bowers, but they aren't winning. They aren't winning, I don't think, the SEC without Brock Bowers. Michigan 52-7 over Indiana. Michigan still not tested. They're going to get Penn State in 2 weeks. McCarthy with a nice game yesterday. And again, they ran the ball very well. Indiana very bad. Tom Allen likely to get fired. Ohio State 41-7. Boy, 41-7 yesterday. McCord. I would keep wanting to say Kent McCord. And if anybody can tell me why I keep thinking of Kent McCord, please put it in the comments and it'll show you how old you are. But so if anybody really wants to show me how old they are, I know how old some of you are. Why do I think of Kent McCord whenever I see K McCord? McCord had a decent day yesterday. I think he's been getting better every week. Ohio State gets Penn State next week. Penn State does nothing. If I'm supposed to get excited about them beating Massachusetts 63-0, paying Massachusetts $1.6 million to come up there and get their butts handed to them, good for Massachusetts. Take the money, help your program. But James Franklin does not know how to get teams ready for big games. Again, I believe he's 2-7 against Ohio State and Michigan. I think he gets beat next week again. Florida State rule. I said Syracuse would get whomped third week in a row. Love Dino Babers. He needs to win. He's got winnable games most of the way out. This is the second year in a row he started 5-0. Bottom fell out about the same time. And he needs to right this ship. And this team needs, they can't go on a 5-game losing streak, 6-game losing streak like they did last year. Got to get it together. We talked about Washington, Oregon. We can talk about any game you want, by the way. I'll get to your comments as soon as I get through the top 25 here. We just talked about Notre Dame, 48-20, not even close. Caleb Williams, 199 yards, 3 interceptions. He will be out of the Heisman race after this. Alabama survives a late comeback by Arkansas. Alabama was in control of this game. It appeared, and Arkansas held them to 3 points in the second half. Milroe did play pretty well, throwing the ball down the field. He's played pretty well since he came back from being benched. Don't count Alabama out, but they kind of sleepwalked through the second half and barely got by this game, 24-21. North Carolina, this game was not, I don't know, probably not a lot of you watched it. I did. North Carolina 41-31. Neil, I think, had mentioned Drake May. I think, again, if you heard my rankings Friday, the number one quarterback in college football right now is Drake May, followed by Michael Penix, Dylan Gabriel, Bo Nix. Nothing changed for me. Anyway, this game was not as close as it looked. I mean, Van Dyke's numbers look good at the end of the day. 391, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But he also fumbled the ball away twice. A lot of these yards and a couple of the touchdowns in garbage time. Miami needs help at quarterback. Miami, I mean, they didn't quit. They played hard, but they're going to have a hard time recovering from last week's fiasco. I mean, Mario Cristobal last week, I talked about it on the college football huddle. That's one of the worst. You can talk about Dan Lanning all you want. It's simple what Mario Cristobal needed to do last week, and he didn't do it. Louisville coming off a huge win against Notre Dame, goes to Pittsburgh and puts up a stinker. They jumped 11 spots in the rankings last week, by the way. They're liable to drop 11 this week. as they lose 38-21. Plummer throws a couple of interceptions in this game. Oregon State beats a good UCLA team 36-24 at home. We're starting to see that maybe the Pac-12 depth is going to hurt them as these teams beat each other up. As you'll see here in a second, I know Washington State got killed as well. Utah goes to 5-1 in destroying Cal. Duke wins without Leonard as their quarterback, 24-3. Good win for Duke. Duke and Florida State maybe on a collision course for the ACC championship game. Tennessee 20-13 over A&M. Jimbo, listen, he's 4-3. I don't think he can handle another 4-5 loss season. But I'm still doubtful. I know some of you guys have brought up that the oil guys will bring up the $77 million it'll cost to buy him out. Nobody's ever come up with that kind of money to buy out a coach. Nobody. The most anybody's ever paid, I believe, was Auburn to get Gus Malzahn out of town is about $21 million. Arizona, a team that's been up and down this year but played very well at home, goes on the road and just destroys Oklahoma State. Cam Ward's going to fall out of the Heisman race this week as well. 44-6, they lose. Washington State now loses 2 back-to-back games, and they'll fall out of the top 25 likely this week. LSU rebounds, plays a good defensive game against a bad offensive team at Auburn. They went 48-18 to bounce back strongly there. Oklahoma State beats Kansas. Kansas playing without their starting quarterback as well. Oklahoma State struggling a bit this year, but get to 4-2. And we'll look at where they stand on Wednesday night, the college football huddle. Missouri with another nice win at Kentucky. A week after getting blown out of the stadium at Georgia, Kentucky comes back with a stinker at home, loses 38-20. Missouri goes to 6-1, 2-1 in the SEC. So some interesting games there. Some other games of interest I saw. Rutgers comes back to win over a very bad Michigan State team, but 5-2 I think they are now, or I believe. Navy gets a nice win over Charlotte yesterday. Army with a loss to Troy. Air Force with a nice win over Wyoming, a really good Wyoming team. Iowa sneaks out a win. This must have been a real snoozer, 15-8 over Wisconsin. UAB, Trent Dilfer's struggles continue there. Just a silly hire for UAB in my mind. And I can't read my writing on that one. Again, I don't think we saw a change in the Heisman situation. Let me just check my notes before I come to your guys' comments here. Colorado, by the way, I didn't mention, Colorado blows at 29-0. It's probably in the comments somewhere. They're up 29-0 Friday night over Stanford. And Deion, I mean, he's not laughing and joking. He told his team after a sloppy a win at Arizona State last week, where they had to go to triple overtime or something to win, he told them, that the execution wasn't there. The effort wasn't there. If you keep playing like this, you will lose. And this team goes into the locker room probably resting on their laurels. Stanford was not a good football team. Give them credit for playing hard, not giving up. But this is what we expected. This is what we should have expected from Colorado. Up and down, inconsistent play. 6-6. I called it before the season. 6-6 might be tough now with this loss to Stanford. They're better. Deion will make them better. They'll be better next year. But there was at 3-0, the ridiculous hype was just way over. Moss was the name I was looking for the Colts. Thank you for that, Rick. We'll talk about that during the NFL. I was trying to figure out who the running back who played so well. Jonathan Taylor's back, but they had a really good running back last week. Michigan's overrated, just like Penn State. We'll see. We don't know. I will say this. I would not put them in the same comment as Penn State, though. Michigan has the pedigree that Penn State does not have, the recent pedigree. They've been to the playoff 2 years in a row. They've won the Big Ten 2 years in a row. They've got a better quarterback than Ohio State, than Penn State. They've got better running backs. They've got Corum, who came back. He could have gone to the NFL. They haven't been tested this year. I get it. But they are not. I'm not prepared to say they're overrated the same way Penn State is. Now we'll find out coming up soon, because they'll play some better teams. Both of them will. There you go. Drew gets it. Drew gets a Kent McCord. Attaboy, Drew. One Adam 12. One Adam 12. See the man. God, I'm old. Kenny, I put together a team for 1.6 million. I put together a team for 1.6 million and score against them. That's a good line. I like that. You would think I don't know what they're doing with the money they get for these ass kickings they got to go get, but you know, Marty Milner. Come on. Adam 12. Marty Milner, Kent McCord. Were Reed and, oh, God, what was Marty Milner's character, Drew? I can't believe I can't think of it. I don't think any team is safe in college games. Listen, I've said this for a while. We talked about it Wednesday night. The teams that can win are pretty deep. I went through pretenders and contenders the other day, I think on Friday, right? Here's your contenders. So let's see if they still hold up. Georgia, yup. Ohio State, yup. Michigan, yup. Florida State, Oklahoma, Washington, Oregon is still alive, probably. Very good chance there'll be a rematch in the Pac-12 championship. And it's possible a one-loss team could get in there. If they beat an undefeated Washington team in a rematch, they might get the bid to the. I don't see it happening, but they could. And Texas, I think, is still alive too. So one loss team still alive: Texas, Oregon, maybe Alabama. But I do have them in my pretender list. I've still got Penn State, USC that proved out yesterday. Alabama, not sure. I mean, they bounced back, but not showing much. North Carolina, I don't think is really got a shot. And then you got Ole Miss, and I said Notre Dame, which that played itself out with 2 losses anyway. But you're right. Nobody's great. Georgia's still very good. Very good. But they're not as good as they were last year. They're nowhere near as good as they were 2 years ago. Ohio State's not as good as they were last year. But they're getting better every week. That's the thing. Rick talked about Georgia getting better every week, and they are. And their quarterback is growing into the role. Same thing with Ohio State. They're mirror images of each other in a way, Georgia and Ohio State. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Michigan's back and Florida State back with veterans. You got veteran quarterbacks. You got guys on Michigan that have lots of guys that have been through the wars in the Big Ten championship games, national playoff games. Oklahoma doesn't have that. I liked Oklahoma. Let's not forget. So far, by the way, yesterday, on my Final Four, let me give you that. Georgia winning. Florida State, Oklahoma, and Ohio State's my Final Four. Yesterday, by the way, I did bet Notre Dame and USC over 60. I thought that was a gift. I bet LSU and I bet Tennessee. So 3-0 yesterday. I had a great run in college. Anyway, so it's Texas. So just pump a little more oil and pay them off. Again, You guys seem to think these guys, they didn't get to be billionaires by just giving away $77 million. Especially when you're paying the players now. Michigan State didn't dump Mel Tucker till they had a reason to get rid of him and not pay him. Now they'll probably pay him something. We talked about this a little bit too the other night. By the way, don't think Texas A&M hasn't looked for cause to fire Jimbo. They did it. The rumors were last year they were trying to dig up something on to fire him for cause. Didn't happen. And you can think whatever you want about the Mel Tucker situation. He said, she said. I know I've gotten to this with Rick a little bit. He'll get some money to shut up, but he's going to fight this as much as he can. He's the single stupidest human being on the face of the earth. In my mind, Mel Tucker. Sorry. I mean, if you're getting paid just on the basis of your intelligence quota, he'd be getting paid less than zero. Malloy. God damn it. Thank you, Drew. You were the best. Malloy and Reed. 1 Adam 12. I still watch it on MeTV. Artie Milner was in Route 66. Yes, sir. You catch that too on somewhere I watched it not long ago. I'm so bad. Watched TV 60 and 50 and 60 years ago. Alabama squeaked past Arkansas. They did. Listen, they had this game in hand, and the offense went flat in the second half. I will say Milroe has played really well since he got benched against South Florida. Because Tommy Reese has really changed the offense a little bit. They're throwing the ball down the field, which one of Milroe's strengths. He can get the ball down the field. And Alabama has played better. Arkansas, listen, Arkansas is not a bad football team. Sam Pittman's probably in trouble there just because they're, what are they, 2-5 now. But they've been in every game. I don't know that they've got more than one loss by more than a touchdown. They played really hard, and I wouldn't fire Pittman here, but they were looking for Arkansas was looking for a lot more this year, based off of the last couple of years. Sam Pittman's done a great job there. Make up a reason like Tucker. You think that's made up? I don't care if it's made up, Rick. I keep telling you this. I will say it until my dying breath. For Mel Tucker to get himself mixed up with a woman who comes in to talk about sexual harassment and sexual abuse to the football team and the sports teams at Michigan is the single stupidest thing a coach has ever done. Well, maybe other than Mike Price going to the strip clubs in Alabama after he got hired. He should get fired just for stupidity. They found a reason because you listen, they gave him a contract. They regretted it. He knew they gave him a contract. They regretted. He knew they'd be looking for any reason to get out of it. He gave it to him on a platter. True or not true, doesn't matter. True or not true does not change how stupid he is to enter into this relationship. Stupid. How many times can I say stupid? And that's not coming from the brightest guy in a freaking room either, by the way. But I can recognize stupid. They can fire him because he puts his toilet. They can fire him because he puts his toilet paper coming off the top, which everybody should do, by the way, Kenny. Why is that a problem? Everybody should put the toilet paper coming out of the top, not the bottom. Can't fire him for that. And Texas is... Listen, again, they're not paying $77 million for him to go away. I just don't see it. Now, maybe they negotiate something. I don't know. If I'm Jimbo, I don't negotiate. Oh, God. What else happened in the world of college football yesterday? We'll move on to the NFL here in a bit. I don't want to look at that. Oregon, we talked. Lanning, by the way, did take 100% credit for the loss. Give him credit for that. You know, unlike some other guys recently who, in the press conferences immediately following the game, kind of mealy-mouthed their way through the press conference. He admitted, the loss is on him. And it is. But I still don't think going for it was wrong. Irish go back to work and win. We know that. Oh, we talked about North Carolina. Maybe they're for real. They got Drake May plus Tez Walker finally gets to play after transferring for the second time. I can't remember where he came from this time. But the NCAA had ruled him ineligible. They changed that ruling last weekend. And he is a game changer, man. He played, I think he had maybe 132 yards receiving last night. A couple of touchdowns. This is a guy. He did play last week, got 6 catches for 43 yards. Last night, though, I want to say he had 2 touchdowns and about 132 yards. He's a game changer. When you got a quarterback like Drake May, you got a weapon like Tez Walker. Maybe North Carolina. Excuse me. Maybe North Carolina's finally for real. And Mac Brown, how about him? He's got some fire left in him at 72 years old, too, right? What do you got, Anthony? I don't like Travis Hunter playing too much on both sides. Well, especially with his injuries. And, you know, he's such a good athlete. But again, I think that also speaks to the lack of quality depth on Colorado. That's why they were never going to be as good as everybody seemed to think they'd be when they were 3-0. And Hunter's playing both ways because he's the best athlete on the team. Shedeur Sanders or not, Travis Hunter is the best player on the team, best athlete on the team. And he'll be playing a lot of cornerback in the NFL, by the way. And Kenny kind of agrees. It looks like Deanna abused Hunter. I don't know, but Hunter wants to play. It's a very difficult situation, right? I don't know what his health situation is coming back from the injury. But, you know, again, I'll give him a pass. There's Don. Texas Tech. We didn't even talk about Texas Tech. Don, you got a new profile picture. Again, I need to know which one's real. Don comes in for our college stuff. How you doing, my buddy? Don came into the MLB update to get his college picks the other day. I don't know how we did. He caught me off guard, so I don't know how we did. You tell me how we did, Don. We're going to move on to the NFL here in a second. The x-rays were negative on Brock Bowers, it looks like, so we'll see whether he can play next week. Maybe they try to hold him out for a week or so. Michigan and Harbaugh feel they found their identity. We'll find out again. Kenny thinks they're overrated. Maybe they are. But we're going to see. There's a lot of teams that have not really been challenged. Right? So it's going to be interesting as we get into this 12-team playoff next year. Do you think it'll change big time? Yeah, let's take a quick look at last week's poll. At the top, it's not going to change at all. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Oklahoma, Penn State. I don't think Washington moves up ahead of any of them. Maybe they move ahead of Penn State because Penn State played with UMass. Maybe they move ahead of Oklahoma because Oklahoma didn't play. I don't know that that's fair. It also doesn't matter right this minute because all of this will take care of itself. Oregon, I don't think will drop that far. Anthony, I wouldn't doubt to see them still in the top 10 because USC is going to drop out and they're going to drop far. They were falling down while they were winning. They've fallen, I think, from a high of 5 to 10 without losing a game. Bama, I think, is probably not going to move up. I think Carolina will jump maybe Alabama. They'll definitely jump USC. So I think you'll see North Carolina in the top 10. I don't think Oregon falls that far, though. I mean, you'll have some changes near the bottom for sure. Louisville jumped 11 last week. They're liable to lose 11 this week or maybe fall out of the top 25. Oregon State will probably move up. Utah move up. Duke will move up. UCLA will fall. Listen, UCLA fell out of the pool, out of the poll 2 weeks ago, and then they jump all the way to 16 last week or 18 last week. They're going to fall way down. Washington State likely falls out of the top 25. Tennessee will move up. Notre Dame will move up. LSU will move up. Kansas drops back out. They're in and out of the pool every week. Kentucky's out. Miami's out. So who moves in? Missouri finally probably moves into the top. I think they were, and then they fell out. Wyoming is close. They aren't going to get in. Air Force, you will probably see in the top 25 next week. Wisconsin, Tulane, I don't think so. West Virginia with a horrible loss the other night. Horrible loss. I played a small parlay Thursday. I think it was Thursday night on DraftKings. And they're in a game they can't lose. They're up 14, a couple minutes to play, and they lose the game. Just to cover. Maybe James Madison moves into the top 25. Clemson could move back in. Maryland might move in. Iowa. See, Iowa now, everybody's down on Iowa early in the year. Iowa's now starting their usual mid-season run where we start to say, Iowa's not that bad. And then we see that they are. I think I gave you the over in that game. I said, just bet the over. If you bet Notre Dame, congratulations. You think Notre Dame jumps in the top 15? Where are they now? 21. Again, you got to look at who's ahead of them, though. So Louisville will fall behind them. So that's one spot. Let's see who will fall behind them. USC could fall behind them. Louisville will fall behind them. UCLA will fall behind them. See, they can't. I don't think they can make that big a jump from 21 to 15. I think they get to 17 or 18 probably. Because the teams, except the ones I just mentioned, they all won ahead of them. So what I mentioned. Louisville, 1, 2, 3. That's only 3 spots. I mean, 17, 18, I think is the best you're going to hope for, Anthony, right now. Question, who do you like Monday? If it becomes a shootout, I think the Chargers win. I think the Chargers win, and unless Staley has some kind of brain cramp and doesn't know what to do with the clock again, Don, I'll get my NFL picks here in a little bit. We're going to change gears down, move over to the NFL. I want to look real quick, and I want to talk about some of the surprises, and I never did put my banner up for. We won't have. We won't have Jim Biringer with us this morning. I thought we would, but he's got a big hockey game here in just about an hour, so got to get ready for that. NFL Week 6. We're just past the quarter point, but I haven't been on to be able to kind of take a look at it. But we'll take a look now at the NFL and look at last week's scores a little bit, and then this week's scores. And let's see, any surprises last week? We got to talk about a couple of things. The Bears. Last week, the Bears looked really good. Justin Fields had a great game. 4 touchdowns, I believe. To annihilate the Commanders, the team formerly known as the Redskins. Sorry. On the road, big needed win for the Bears. The Jaguars beat the Bills in London. I think there's a game early today too, right? I hope I don't want to bet that game. Falcons and Texans, 21-19. Lions destroyed the Panthers. I had them in a survivor pool. Colts beat the Titans. The Dolphins beat the Giants. No surprise. The Patriots just awful. 34-0 after losing 38-3 the week before. 72-3. I don't see any hope. One of the biggest disappointments, and you can understand why I say that, in the NFL for me is the Patriots. The lack of addressing the talent level on the offensive line killed this team early. Mac Jones played well enough the first couple of weeks. He wasn't the reason they were losing. He's definitely the reason, one of the big reasons they were losing the last couple of weeks. And plus now the injuries are catching up. Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez both out for this season will hurt this defense tremendously. We'll talk more about that as I talk about my surprises and disappointments. Steelers beat the Ravens. I did like them in that game. The Eagles over the Rams. Bengals over the Cardinals. Jets over the Broncos, and a nice win for the Jets on the road. Zach Wilson played well, or better. better. That may be in today against the Eagles. The Chiefs sneak out one against the Vikings. I know Viking fans are crying about referees. Please stop crying about referees. You don't lose games because of referees. Don't put yourself in a position to get beat by referees. Bring out all the individual plays you want to bring out. I don't do that. I could have done it 2 weeks ago against when we played Miami, and they didn't give this first down on a weird play in the fourth quarter when Strange had recovered a fumble and gone for a first down. Whatever. You didn't play well enough to win. Don't play bad enough where referees can beat you. Saw the memes with, the referees in Kansas City garb. Very funny because I've lived through that being a Patriot fan. 49ers rolling. I mean, this team is really good. They're the best team in the NFL. We're going to talk about that. The Raiders get a win against the Packers. That game Monday night, I don't know if you guys watched it. It was unwatchable. Absolutely unwatchable. Oh, God. So who are our surprises and who are our disappointments? And can the disappointments come back is the other part of the question. Will the surprises continue? Will the disappointments come back? Got a bunch of comments, so let me catch up. You could have a couple left over. College. What the hell? My wife's got a jackhammer going upstairs. Where the hell are we? Oh, God, you guys got all kinds of comments up here. I got that one. There we go. Malik Cunningham. Yeah, big deal. No, I'm sorry. I like Malik Cunningham's athleticism. A lot of hoopla in the New England universe this week because they activated Malik Cunningham from the practice squad. Well, listen, Malik Cunningham's been on the practice squad for a reason. Malik Cunningham's not starting at quarterback this week, guys. FYI. It's very likely that they've put in a handful of formations and packages that you'll see Malik Cunningham on the field. It's quite possible none of them will have him at quarterback. A lot of them will have him at wide receiver, which is where the Patriots envision him. I do think if circumstances allow for it, he will potentially be a quarterback in certain situations. A la Hill, Taysom Hill from New Orleans, and a few other guys. You may see that type of package. So the new flag league. Oh, very unfair to the Bills to have to play very unfair to the Bills who have to play the Jags, played back-to-back games in London. Not sure. The Jags want to play, by the way. Jags want to play in London. They don't want to play at home because they don't get anybody to show up. There was talk about them moving to London. But why is it unfair to the Bills? Maybe I'm just not reading well here. Very unfair to the Bills to have the Jags play back-to-back games in London. Well, they're not playing. The Bills are playing the Giants today. And usually teams get a bye when they come back. It is a little strange that they didn't get a bye. Historically, when teams have gone to London or Germany or wherever they're going, they get a bye the next week. And neither one of these teams has a bye, right? Maybe that's what you're saying. Drew, maybe that's what I'm not picking up on. But both of them are playing today, and both of them, and historically, they have gotten byes after those trips. So I am a little surprised at that. He got a concussion, I believe late in the Viking game. I'm not sure about that, exactly when that concussion happened. But he was listed out. I don't know how much he practiced during the week. But he was not officially listed as out, I don't think, until yesterday. But this happened earlier in the week. I know as early as Wednesday, I'd heard that it was doubtful he was going to play Saturday or Sunday. By the way, again, one of my pet peeves about why guys get hurt, Anthony, is I doubt very much he got a concussion in practice because you don't hit in practice during the season. So, whether they practice or not, it's unlikely he got hurt during practice. Kenny, with a quick point, Washington could drop. Oh, this is and Oregon should stay out, as everyone knows. On paper, Washington won, but in the real world, they lost. Now, sorry, in the real world, Kenny, they won. That's the real world. We've talked about that. You and I have had this conversation, and you have agreed with me. It's not how you win, it's whether you win. The win is all that matters. Washington is not dropping. Washington is a better football team than Oregon. Plain and simple. Gosh, I mean, you make it sound like they weren't there trying to even stop them. They're not going to drop. And I know it's just your opinion, and mine's my opinion. It's just, opinions are like, we all have one, just like the colloquialism says. Let's. This is a PG show, Rick. Oh, football, yes. Kenny played both. Kenny, what'd you weigh in high school when you were playing both ways, by the way? Kenny played quarterback, and I'm going to guess defensive back. But I don't think Kenny weighed a whole lot in high school. Hey, CA's here with us. Good morning, CA. Good to have you with us. What's Drew got? Mysterious ailment for the massage molester. Yeah, he's out. Was he out? Did he play last week? Because I thought I heard this was 2 weeks in a row. And PJ Walker playing. So the Browns, by the way, who the Browns got? Oh, the 49ers. They're going to get cleaned up this week. And, thank you for not saying his name, Drew. I slipped up a few weeks ago and said the mysterious, or the massage molester. I like that. Maybe I'll use that. I've called him the criminal, I don't know what I called him. I like that better. I may steal that. The NFL, where criminals go when the prisons don't want them. It is very mysterious illness, though, eh? Knucklehead. Kenny says, yes, Rick, but I should never have played defense. I preferred getting hit and hitting someone. That's what led to my shoulder injury. Kenny was a very good athlete in high school. Who's we, sucker? Who's we? Where's the we? Where's the we from? It is always we. If you're talking about me and they again, I'm not ever saying they. We. If you're talking about the same thing we were talking about before. I was trying to get Jim. We ran into that late, and I couldn't get into it, but I wanted to get Jim's opinion. I think I've got it before, and Jim is okay with me saying we when you invest as much emotion as you have, Rick. You're entitled to say we. I have about $10,000 in frickin' wearables around my house. This is another one. I got this last week on sale. And tickets to games for season tickets for 10 years. And other tickets most every year until the last 3 or 4. Maybe that's not even what you're talking about. Anthony says Chargers upset the Cowboys and the Jets upset the Eagles. I don't see the second one. Listen, the Chargers should win that game. I like the Chargers in that game Monday night. I won't bet it. I'll tell you guys if I can who I'm betting as we go through the picks today. I just can't. I'd like to see the Jets beat the Eagles. The Jets still have a good defense. Sauce Gardner being out hurts them a lot, by the way. Bryce Hall played great last week. He's getting healthier and healthier. Again, with that type of injury. I used to talk about this with the late Dan Harris, my good friend Dan Harris. And when I say DDH thumbs up at the beginning of my shows, that's who that's for going forward. I used to talk to Dan Harris about this all the time when we were talking about Saquon Barkley and some other guys who were okay their first year back from this type of devastating knee injury. But it takes a year to get fully recovered, not just physically, but mentally. And Bryce Hall, this is his first year back. So let's see, maybe he's moving that forward a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. Oh, gosh, what do we got here? What are you saying here, Rick? Drew, he's been treated like Big Bertha. He should be being treated by Bubba. Oh, I'm so bad. I'm going straight to hell. Ravens versus Tennessee, about to kick off from, there we go, Tottenham. Thank you, CA. Where the hell is Tottenham? Is that in England? I thought they play these games all at Wembley. Oh, they just kicked off. It's too funny. They don't tell me where it is on what I got here. Ravens and Titans. Who we liking this? We got to make a pick, I guess. So I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this game. Titans are just playing bad, man. Jags got to stay in London for consecutive. Oh, I see what you're saying. That part. It's funny. And again, I was away, so I didn't really pick up on the fact that they played back-to-back games. I knew they were playing 2 games there. I didn't realize they'd already played them there. I knew last week's game was there as I was watching that in the airport. But that is, and by the way, it's also, I think it still sucks for both of them having to play this week. If I'm not mistaken, before this year, every single time they played overseas, they had a bye week the next week. And that, again, well, what's going to happen if the NFL does the unexpected? I mean, because it's come up at different times. I don't see. That's why I don't think it ever works allowing, say, the Jaguars, because they've been brought up before, to move to London permanently because of that issue. By the way, let's. I do remember this part too is just coming back to me. Let's not just blame the NFL. That is wrong. I don't disagree with you. But why did the Bills wait till Friday to go to London for a Sunday game? You could have gone any time between Monday and Friday. Why did you wait until Friday? Why aren't you flying on Monday to get yourself acclimated and your body's time clock acclimated? So let's put some blame on the Bills as well, I think, Drew. I don't disagree. It's not fair from the scheduling purposes, but come on. Why are they leaving on Friday? I haven't watched enough of Kurt Warner to really give an opinion here. Unlike the college football pregame shows, which I watch religiously or have on anyway all morning. I don't sit there and watch, 5 hours of it, but I have it on as I'm doing my chores around the house all day long, and I pay attention when I hear something come up. Other than on every TV in the house, I drive my wife nuts. I'll have like 7 TVs on game day, all of them on a different delay. But I'll be honest with you, I don't watch NFL pregame shows ever. I'm doing this show, then I'm driving off to go watch the Patriots or whatever games are on at 1:00, and I hardly ever watch the NFL pregame shows. I don't even know where Kurt Warner is. Is he on Fox? I think he's on the NFL Network, right? I'm not even sure. 139. There you go. Kenny's weight. Man, I was huge then. I was 177. Skinny little shit. I was just a runt. Kenny was all muscle at 139, though. I still like Michael Van Gerwen to win in Germany. What's he winning? CA is our eclectical sports fan, because I never know what the hell he's talking about. Is this darts? Gotta be. You got the dartboard there. Our weekly dart update from CA. By the way, who's the last guy standing in the survivor pool? We're on the NFL. Is it UCA? Is it you, Anthony? Billy Pulver told me he's out. There's one guy left, and of course, they won't let me see it. So next year when we do this, we're going to do it somewhere else besides ESPN, because they won't even let me see who won the survivor pool I set up. What if I had to pay somebody? By the way, we're out of the big one, the $130,000 pool. We went out 2 weeks ago. I am still alive in the Creekside survivor pool. I don't know how many people are left. I'll find out today. I haven't been there in a couple weeks. I was on vacation. But I'll be taking, I believe, the Dolphins today to stay alive. Give you my update on my gambling. Anthony Price played tight end and defensive end at 140 pounds. That's impressive too, no, Kenny? Gosh. How come we were all so much littler? That's not even a word. Is littler a word, Drew? How come we were so much smaller in high school? Not just, I understand we get big. That was stupid. Never mind. I'm worn out, by the way. I'm 63 years old. I'm chasing my granddaughter around for 12 hours yesterday. Flipping wheelies. We're racing around the complex here. Giving my wife a heart attack. She loves every minute of it. There's no jet lag. It's not a big difference. It's not any different. Well, I think it is. Well, first of all, you're driving a different. I would say it's not as bad at going because you're gaining time. Really, you're not losing. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You're gaining time the other way. This stuff always hurts my head. But it is a 5-hour difference in time, Kenny. There's got to be. It throws your internal clock off, which is why I do not understand what the Bills were thinking about going there on Friday. I mean, I don't think it doesn't play into it. Oh, Kurt's in the booth today. On NFL Network. I would put that on, but when I put the streaming on the TV next to me, it usually screws up my feed. It shouldn't, but it does. Don. I can't get over it. Every time I see Don, he's got a different profile picture. Plus 4.5 Saints and Saints with Chargers plus 3.5. I like the Chargers. I don't like the Colts today. I'm not a Gardner Minshew fan. I think the Jaguars at home now, they're coming back from, again, to Drew's point, they just spent 2 weeks in London. I don't know when they came back. Hopefully they came back Monday and have gotten their bodies readjusted, because there is a difference. Because I feel it every time I do it. Now, I'm not a finely tuned athlete. I understand that. But I'm not. Yeah, I may bet the Chargers. I may bet the Chargers this week. I don't know. We'll see as I go through. I'll probably give you my picks. I already gave Mac and Jack my picks for that. I don't know if they'll be my bets today for money, but we'll see. We had 2 guards at a whopping 145. My son has a picture of me in a high school football, and I added if I was a kicker because of my face mask. Was there any padding inside those helmets? I don't remember. Based on some of our, never mind. I'm not going to say this. CA was huge, man. 6'1", 200 pounds in the 8th grade. Nice little Josh Beekman. Josh Beekman. And I saw all of Josh's career because I was with my ex-wife's son played with Josh at Amsham High. Josh was 6'4", 250, I think, in the 8th grade. He played on varsity in the 8th grade and was already getting scholarship offers. Ended up going to Boston College, as I've talked about a few times, and spent a little time in the NFL. Ran a 40 without pads, 4.6. How are you not in the NFL, CA? Or were you not in the NFL? Boy, we've turned into the stream of consciousness here today for sure. Let me get to some news. We got any news to talk about before I pick the games? So some of the headlines, the doctors believe Justin Jefferson will be out 4 to 6 weeks. Big loss for the Vikings, who are really reeling here. We're going to go through the standings here in a second. I saw them got some of my disappointments and surprises. And Kirk Cousins has said according to reports, that he will not waive his no trade clause. So they will not be able to move him if they have a thought of doing so before the trade deadline. And I know some teams or some fans of teams like the Jets were hoping that he might. Don't know that he's the answer anyway, but Anthony's been out since week 4. Pittsburgh, it's still one person, but can't say, and nobody can see who it is. I know at one point there's 3 people in. I think might be CA, might have won because Billy told me he's out. And I thought the last time I asked, because if you're saying week 4, I'm guessing the 3 people left were you, CA, I think, and Billy. Billy's out. I started to say that, Rick, and I backed up. By the way, I have to apologize for throwing you under the bus with Jack Welch earlier, and I let him know that don't ever give his address out by accident. You might come looking for him. Just joking. I could run 100. I can't even drive 113 seconds. I was never fast when I was in shape. As you might remember from playing softball, Kenny. I was smart. I know my senior year, I was 13 for 13 stolen bases. I was not fast, just smart. I had a decent baseball acumen, unlike some of the guys today, which we'll talk about in the last half hour. TA, tennis was his favorite sport and best sport in high school. Perth didn't have a tennis team. Perth barely had a baseball and football and basketball. Did have a golf team, I think. Kenny, Rick could run it in 1 minute and 13 seconds. Again, I'm not sure I can drive 100 yards in 1 minute, 13 seconds. The Chargers today, getting back to some actual football news. Eckler comes back for the Chargers this week. Listen, the Chargers have so much talent. Their coach continues, in my mind, to hold them back. And this guy had best win a playoff game at a minimum this year if he's going to keep his job. Staley has done such a poor job there with game management in general. 4 guys. Kenny's We're back. We're still back in 1975. Weather in San Francisco Cleveland game is going to be dicey, rain with 30-mile-an-hour gusts. I don't think it should affect San Francisco winning that game by about 3 touchdowns. I'm not betting the game, but what other news do I have here? Giants are hopeful Barkley will play versus the Bills. I do believe Taylor is the quarterback, which is why the Bills or the Dolphins will be my survivor pool pick today. We talked about Gardner being ruled out. Higgins coming back. T. Higgins coming back for the Bengals. The Bengals trying to get better. I like Seattle, man. I picked Seattle to make the Super Bowl. No, it was against the Jets. I did pick Seattle to win the Super Bowl, and we'll see how they do. Again, then, as Drew kind of mentioned earlier, one of these other news items I see here are the Pats signed. It's funny how they say quarterback, wide receiver. He was drafted. He was a quarterback at Louisville. Patriots drafted him with a thought of making him a wide receiver and a slash player like Taysom Hill. But we'll get there. Baseball. I don't know if you're begging for me to talk about baseball. I don't think you are, Kenny, knowing you. We'll get there. I think you're saying baseball, please. Listen, Perth had some great sports teams, football and baseball. Basketball, maybe not so much. Definitely some good, very good baseball teams. And Kenny was definitely part of those. And good football teams, not to take anything away from Mr. Sherlock. Number one pick in 3 and 5 football leagues is back. Let's go Bolts. CA kicked my ass, by the way. We should review maybe the oh crap, my phone's up on a charger. We should review, see if I can get it here. These standings. We'll do it next week, maybe. Neil Bush back. Why can't Eckler stay out another week? Why this week? Because nobody wants the Cowboys to win, Neil. It's a national conspiracy. You kicked my team's ass by 35 points, and I'm doing everything in my power to make sure the Cowboys never win another game. I have no power. Let's get Drew's baseball picks. We'll get there. I got to get through the football. We'll go back. We're going to get we'll have close to a half an hour to spend on baseball. And we're going to get Drew in on Friday for the Major League Baseball update. Either this week, I can't decide whether, maybe we'll do it this week. We'll see how the series are going. I want to be able to recap our season picks and stuff. Would I play Higgins today with his ribs, given Burrow's myopic concentration on Chase, which is, by the way, well warranted because Chase is one of the best wide receivers in baseball, and their bye week next week? I would be a little hesitant to play Higgins today. I'm a little hesitant to play anybody on that Bengals offense because they're all getting killed all the time. I worry about Burrow and that calf injury. Basketball, we had a 40-game losing streak. Danny Krzyzewski is one of the best guys. So, little toast to Danny Krzyzewski. Died way too young, Danny. I'll tell you a little story. We're not going to get to any sports today. Danny Krzyzewski, as you know, Kenny and Rick, taught driver's ed. And I took it in the summertime. I already had my license. So I never once drove. I drove around. There was 3 of us. Me, I can't remember who else. It was one girl and one guy. But they drove around, and we went to, and if any of you guys did driver's ed with Danny Krzyzewski, you probably did the same thing. Our day would consist of going to his mother's for coffee, going to OTB, and playing the horses, and then driving around a little bit. I never drove once all summer. I had a lot of fun, though. Yes, we're going to get to it. Let me get to it. We'll get to the football. Let me get through the football picks. Right now, Neil, Dak would look good in any uniform. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Anybody would look good in a Patriots uniform. I love Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is getting a raw deal. I don't think there's any way to evaluate how good a quarterback Mac Jones is or is not. And I'm not saying he's a real good quarterback. I'm just saying I think there's zero way to evaluate how good he is based on how bad this team has been the last 2 years on the offensive line and on the weapons he has to throw to. That's why I said it was imperative that they go out and get themselves Hopkins and somebody that he had to go to. You go watch Juju Schuster run routes. You go watch Devontae Parker continually get no separation. Where is he going to go with the football when he's also getting harassed by 4 guys trying to break his neck? And he's played badly and made bad decisions. I'm really not making excuses for him, but I'm angry about the situation my team has put my quarterback in, and he probably won't be the quarterback there next year, and there's liable to be a new head coach. I never thought I would reach this point where I'm so disappointed in the decisions that my head coach has made personnel-wise. Anyway, that's my little rant. Allen's got the Rangers in 7, Phillies in 5. I'll give my picks in a little bit. I like neither of those. By the way, baseball is so stupid. I'm going to get to my NFL picks here in a second, and we're going to go to baseball. But I'm going to throw this out there. We'll talk about it more. How can the Diamondbacks sit around from Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, they wrapped up their series on Wednesday, to Monday night when the Braves ended their series on Thursday? This is why you get the results you get in the postseason, and they're not true to form because teams have to sit around. The whole bye situation with division winners is ridiculous. I'm coming back to that. Maybe I'll stay. Maybe I won't even do my football picks today. Houston wins it all. Thank you, Anthony. I'm with you. I picked Houston to win it all before the season, beating the Braves. And I'm sticking with it. Thank you. You didn't let me drive for most of the time. You didn't trust me. He said, you got a license. You just need to be here. You don't need to drive. Been some close matches. I probably should tweak the fantasy league for next season. We can improve it, and everyone should offer suggestions in the fantasy chat. We can do that for sure. I like the format in general. We probably have too many roster spots, I would think, is one thing. We got to shorten the roster spots. All right, let me get to the NFL picks, and then we'll go on to baseball since we talked about nonsense here. I have, not you. I have. I won't even do my disappointments. I really don't care. Commanders at the Falcons. Falcons are 1.5. I'm going to listen, they've played well. 3-2. Commanders. This is Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell. I like the Falcons at home. I think Ritter's played, good, decent, mistake-free football for the most part and kept this team in games for the most part. The Vikings are going to the Bears. Minnesota is -3 on the road. I love home dogs. I'll take the Bears here to stay hot. No Jefferson. Cousins has played well, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's number 1 targets out. The team can't be happy at 1-4. I know they're desperate for a win, but maybe the Bears have turned a corner. We're going to find out today. I'm going to take the Bears in this game. Seahawks at the Bengals. I just don't like the vibe I'm getting out of Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, only 5 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. Not healthy. Mixon hasn't played bad with 328 yards rushing. Jamar Chase has been their offense, basically. Because the passes, over half of Burrow's passing yards, as I think either Neil or Drew said earlier, have gone to Jamar Chase. So I like the Seahawks here. I like the Seahawks to keep their win streak alive. 49ers and Browns, what'd you call them, Drew? The massage molester is out. The 49ers are clicking on all cylinders. I still like Seattle. I'm going to stick with my pick to win the Super Bowl, but the 49ers are the best team in football. Great play calling. They stay healthy. Purdy's played well. They know what he does well. They stick to it. And they've got, when they're healthy, with McCaffrey and the rest of that crew, they're so good when they're healthy. Dolphins, Tua's been remarkable, I think. The run of the ball better. Mostert's got 7 touchdowns already. Hill's got 651 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. They'll kill the Panthers today. They're a 14-point favorite. I think they win this easy. This will be a bet for me today. The Colts and the Jaguars. I do think the Jaguars will be a bet for me, -4. I think Trevor Lawrence is starting to kind of get it back where he was the end of last year. I think the weapons are better. I know that Jonathan Taylor's back for the Colts. And Zach Moss, by the way, I think it's Zach Moss, has played really well. Played great last week. But I'm not a big Gardner Minshew fan. Saints go to the Texans. I'm going to take the Texans here, getting 1.5 at home. Regardless, the Saints are up and down. They played some bad football. They played great football against a bad Patriot team last week. Drew will hate me for this, but Vegas is only 3 over the Patriots. I will take the Patriots to get their first win against their former offensive coordinator, or not their first win, their second win. It feels like their first win. Listen, in another year, this team's 1-4. In another year, I could still find 9 wins here. And I look at the rest of the schedule and I go, there's no reason this team can't go 8 and what would it be? 8-4 the rest of the year. If we hadn't lost 72-3 the last 2 weeks. Wish it was 3 weeks. But I will stick with my Patriots. You will never, I know Drew doesn't understand it. I will never, ever pick against my team. I've never bet money against my team. I've never picked against my team. I will tell this story again about the 2001 Super Bowl, actually 2002 Super Bowl against the Rams. I would have won $3,000 at the half if the score had stayed the same and the Patriots were driving the football and Tom Brady threw a touchdown to David Patton, and I was the happiest guy in the room because without that touchdown, my team doesn't win the Super Bowl most likely. I would have spent that $3,000 in about a week. Just to give you an idea of my mindset. I don't know why I still have this up here. Sorry. Where was I? Rams and Cardinals. Does anybody know if McVay's coaching today, and does it even matter? I'll take the Rams over the Cardinals just because the Cardinals are so bad. They have played gamely, though. They've played hard. Give them credit for that. Jets and Eagles. Eagles 6.5 at the Jets. Jets have played better. The defense has been okay. They've got some weapons. Zach Wilson plays mistake-free football. Who knows? But I'll take the Eagles -6.5. I'm going to take the Bucks getting points at home as well. They're getting 3 points against Detroit. Buccaneers are surprising 3-1. One of my surprises so far. I'll take the Bucks here. I'll take the Bills over the Giants -15. Giants are in disarray. I picked this team to finish second in the East, but I did say their margin for error was very, very small. Let me move on so we can get to baseball here. Excuse me. We'd had the Chiefs beating the Broncos 19-8. Is there anything wrong with Patrick Mahomes? I read a bunch of stories about how he's a disappointment this year. That Patrick Mahomes is really nothing more than, Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. I don't understand and the team's 5-1, and a lot of people down on them. I don't get it. So I did take them Thursday night, and tomorrow night I will take the Chargers, getting 1.5 here. I think they're getting more in a real lines, over the Cowboys. And I do have Justin Haber in a fantasy league, and Dan Harris's fantasy league, his last one. Are you on the Rangers today? No, I'm not betting game by game. Let's move to baseball. We'll get Drew's analysis. We got exactly 28 minutes. We have to end on time because of Roku. That's still college football. All right. I'm not betting game by game. I don't bet baseball game by game. I mean, I might go on. If I have money in my DraftKings account, I sometimes will go in and play, some silly, $5 parlays and try to win $200. But as far as betting goes, I would only bet the series. And I'm betting the Rangers in this series. Or I'm sorry, betting the Astros in this series. We got the Astros. Made a couple notes here. I know we have some pitching matchups for the Astros and Rangers. Game 1. Where's my... the wrong there it is. How the hell it gets down here? See, I gotta play with stuff. And here's my notes. And I got all kinds of things stuck to it because I've been sitting here playing around with stuff. Just leave things alone. Can you keep just once? Yeah. Anyway. So we got in the game 1, we have Montgomery against Verlander. I love that matchup. I know Montgomery's pitched well since he got traded from the Yankees, but I can't get over what I watched when he was with the Yankees. And so if I'm going to pick game 1, I'll pick Verlander over Montgomery. But again, I'm not getting wrapped up game by game. I like the Astros to win this series. Game 2, by the way, is Navaldi against Valdez has been announced. The other series, the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. And we'll get into your comments about each one of these series and some other things that I want to talk about or have talked about. We'll remind you of. D-backs against the Phillies. So far, they've announced Gallen's pitching game 1, and who the hell's pitching game 2? I wrote the damn thing down. Oh, Kelly, Merrill Kelly will pitch game 2. That's basically their pitching staff. No announcement from the Phillies yet who will pitch the first couple games for these teams. Again, what I don't understand why we have so many days off. We haven't had baseball now since when? When's the last time we had baseball? Somebody tell me. Diamondbacks haven't played since Wednesday. Now, I know you got to wait till the other series finishes up, but it finishes up on Thursday. God, the hiccups again. Why are we waiting until Monday to start that series? Baseball, afraid of college basketball, baseball, or college football. They're afraid of the NFL. You're not going to you're not going to get back to where you were. Let's see, do we have games? So we've had no games since Thursday. Friday, no games. Saturday, no games. Sunday, we get a game. These teams haven't played since when? When these teams play last? Wednesday? Yes. Houston Houston wrapped up their series. So the Rangers haven't played since Tuesday. Are you serious? Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 days. Baseball teams are used to playing every day. You ruin the entire cadence of what a team is used to by blowing the schedule up like this. This didn't happen back in the old days. You finish a series and maybe you had a day off. You had days off for travel, which once we get into this, I believe we have nothing but days off for travel. So thank you for that. It's like the NBA. Yankees and Red Sox in 78 had to play a playoff game on Monday to break the tie. Brucky F. and Dent, yes. Sorry, Red Sox fans. They played the next day against the Royals in the ALCS. There's too many teams, so division champions have to sit around for days waiting to see the wild card things work out when they're used to playing every day. Baseball can't get out of its own way. Baseball's different than every other sport because you play it every day. Except when you get to the most important games. Let's get to the comments here. Rangers in 7, Phillies in 5. I like the Astros, as I said. That I do like that probably, Alan. Alan, if you're still here, sorry. Rangers, congratulations. I was wrong about the Rangers twice because I thought when they fell apart early in September, late in August, or during August, I guess mostly, I wrote them off. I thought they would fall apart. They have activated Scherzer, by the way, but he hasn't been that effective when he pitched anyway, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. So anyway, I like the Astros in 7. And I like the Diamondbacks, probably in 6 games, unless the Phillies keep hitting home runs. I mean, the problem with the Phillies, if you're it's a treat-your-all-come fan, and you like baseball the way it's played today, the Phillies are your team. I was sick to my stomach watching the Braves and Phillies Thursday night. Braves needing to win to stay alive. Load the bases in the 8th inning, and Acuna, the best player in baseball, probably gets up there and he's swinging like 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. He's swinging for the fences the whole way. All he needs is a single to tie the game. Does he change his approach at the game at the plate? Not even a little bit, and that's what's wrong with the game today. At least with the games we're going to watch in these playoffs, we got some teams in the Astros, the Diamondbacks, I think, play this way a little bit. They can scratch out runs when they're not hitting home runs. I love Rob Thompson. I'd love to root for the Phillies because of that. And I might. I don't know. I'm not going to bet the series. I'm going to pick the Diamondbacks to win. But I like Rob Thompson a lot. He's a good manager. Rob Thompson's a guy that I wanted to be the Yankee manager when Girardi got fired. They hired Aaron effing Boone. Baseball. I think we did that already, didn't we? Here we go. Am I on the Rangers today? No, probably not. Pat isn't that good to be an NFL quarterback. Pat isn't that good to be an NFL quarterbacks are not good. I'm not following you too much there, Dan or Don, except for maybe you're telling me that Patrick Mahomes is not that good. Patrick Mahomes is that good. Drew, Houston over Texas in a close one. Drew's with me. Scherzer gets shelled. If he pitches, I mean, I know, did they activate him for sure? I know they cleared him to be activated. How do you pitch him after he hasn't pitched at all? I'd put somebody else out there. And I know he can't pitch out of the bullpen. So I don't even know if I'd put him on the roster at this point. Philly over Arizona and not in a close one. Interesting. So Drew thinks, obviously, the Phillies will keep hitting 6 home runs a game because that's how they win games. I would advise the Diamondbacks not to say anything derogatory to Bryce Harper, by the way. How stupid are the Braves to fire up Bryce Harper, who in the last 2 postseasons has only hit about 40 home runs and 50 RBIs against him. I exaggerate, but you know what I'm talking about. Man, some guys just can't shut up. And by the way, while I'm going crazy about baseball and the way Acuna approached that, no change in hitting philosophy with the bases loaded and 2 outs and needing 2 runs to tie, what is freaking Schneider doing in the 2 weeks? It was a while ago now. I was on a cruise ship. Putting Barrios out there, pitches 3 great innings. I think he had 6 strikeouts, no runs allowed. And then he pulls him. And don't tell me, he's on short rest, he's this, he's that. Until he's in trouble, why are you pulling him? I wonder why I don't like baseball the way I used to like baseball. I don't hate it like Kenny does. But I'm getting close. I gave you 2 examples in the postseason that make me want to say, why am I watching this drivel? Please, if you want to defend either one of those moves, go ahead, because I'd love to hear it. Oh, okay, Kenny. Kenny's going to have to enlighten me. College football wasn't as big as it is now. No, I know that, obviously. So they didn't have to compete with other sports. Baseball was much bigger then. Plus, it's all about money. I'm not sure. We're talking about the days off and staying away from college football. Well, college football, again, has been big, but not big the way it is today. But college football got huge ratings on Saturday. But college football also was relegated to Saturday afternoons for decades, a little bit of Saturday night football. But they still had huge ratings for the big matchups. You didn't have the proliferation of games. I mean, I can turn on ESPN Plus and watch, Division III teams play. But baseball's scared of the NFL, and it's scared of the NCAA. And if you run scared, they're playing not to lose, just like I'm saying Dane Lanning didn't do. They aren't playing to win. They're playing not to lose. Let's stay away from the NFL if we can. They can't stay away from them forever. Well, they've got to play Sunday night. They got to play Monday. I guess they could have, waited a week to play. But baseball doesn't believe they're the number one sport anymore. They don't believe it. What did I do? Put that back up. What else we got? What else we got going on Major League Baseball? These series, are we okay? Again, another thing, and I talked about this on the Friday show, these division series have got to be 7 games. It's ridiculous to play 162 games, and I'm not saying shorten the season, Kenny, by the way. It's ridiculous to play 162 games and have teams that were the best teams over those 162 games, like the Orioles, like the Braves, have to play a 5-game series and not a 7-game series. I guess I should be happy they don't play 1 game, one and done. That'll happen soon enough, when we'll go back to the wild card 1 and done when Rob Manfred lets, 16 teams in each league. But, again, I'm not saying that those series would not have turned out exactly the same way. But they've got to be 7-game series. You can't. It's not 5-game series are not fair. They got away from them when there was two divisions in each league, and you played a league championship series. When they started, it was 5 games. They decided it really wasn't fair. Plus, they wanted 2 more games for TV, I'm sure. And they went to 7-game series for both the league championship series and the World Series, which it still is. But these division series are important, especially when you've let a team sit around for days waiting to play. And they all, if I'm not mistaken, every team that had a bye lost their first game in the playoffs. I may or may not be right, but I think every team that had a bye lost their first game. The Braves, Who else? The Dodgers, obviously. Not the Rays, the Orioles, and the Astros. I think the Astros. Yeah, the Astros got the other bye. They all lost their first game. Now, the Astros were able to rebound. They're the only one that could rebound. So they sit around for days. You put them at a disadvantage, and you shorten the series to 5 games. In a 7-game series, at least they got a little chance to get their mojo back. Good morning, John Gonzalez for the Sports Authorities, one of my favorite groups. Good to have you with us today. Are you working at the Jet Eagles game today, John? Good to have you with us. You know, you also got some managerial upheaval. Where's my notes from the other day that I didn't get to? Right now, where's my MLB? Right now, you got the Mets, Indians, Angels, and Giants looking for managers. Mets kind of waiting out, see what happens with Craig Counsell, I think, in Milwaukee. Now they're telling Craig Counsell how much they love him, and maybe he's going to stay. The Indians, no clue. The Giants, no clue. Angels actually seem to have some interest in Buck Showalter. I think you may also see some other teams open up still. Padres is still unresolved. A lot of talk that not Gedman. Melvin will not Melvin. Oh my God. It'll come to me. He may not be back. Can't read my writing on that one. Rockies, Bud Black. How long are the Rockies going to stick with Bud Black? And it's not Bud Black's fault, by the way, that this team is so bad. But how long are they going to stick with him? Who else did I write down here? Possibly move Pirates. I think they signed Shelton to an extension, you know, when they were playing well. So that's unlikely to happen. I wrote down one other team. I'm trying to figure out who the hell it is. Some of the disappointing, you know, there's been talk about Cora leaving the Red Sox. I wonder if Schneider may not get fired in Toronto. So you got some good candidates around Major League Baseball for jobs. Donnie Mattingly. Get to some messages. Let me get this here. I told you on the show a few weeks ago that the Braves would stumble in the playoffs. Yes, you did. And that there would be a surprise team coming out of the National League. Snakes. I agree. I picked them to win against the Phillies as well just now, John. So kudos to you. Yep. John is working the game today. And if you're in the Meadowlands or whatever we call it, MetLife, what do we call the stadiums? I don't even know. Swamp in New Jersey. Sorry, John. Say hi to John. The Dodgers. Dodgers go out and get swept. Now, look at, and the Dodgers, by the way, Dave Roberts did a tremendous job managing his team to 100 wins this year. Tremendous. It was a good division. Diamondbacks were better than we thought. Padres, you know, had a good roster. Giants played well for a long time. You're playing a balanced schedule anyway, so you got to play all the other good teams just as many times you play everybody else. But he did a great job keeping his team together. He lost his entire starting rotation at one point. Lost his starting shortstop before the season started. Lost players right and left, and they win 100 games. And again, and Kershaw, and, you know, look at it. But again, you sit around for whatever. I don't know how long it was. It wasn't quite a week, I'm sure, 5 days, but and do nothing. And their Hall of Fame trio, and these guys will all be in the Hall of Fame. Kershaw goes 1 inning. Mookie Betts and Freeman get 1 hit between them in the series. Now, again, part of that has got to be, and again, I'm not trying to make excuses for these guys. Are professionals. They need to find a way to get ready. I get it. But they had to sit around for half a week or better. And then they don't get a 7-game series. Craig Counsell will definitely be a target. Excuse me. A target for the Mets if he gets he is a free agent. I don't know why they need permission to talk to him. Maybe his contract hasn't quite expired. I mean, it probably doesn't expire until the end of the World Series. Right now, the Brewers are showing him all kinds of love because they want him to come back. The talk is that Counsell may want to manage somewhere where he has better resources. And, of course, he's got a relationship with David Stearns. The Carlos Beltran thing, John, I don't think the Mets can sell it. I think Carlos Beltran should get a chance to manage. But if you remember, Carlos Beltran's already been hired once as a Mets manager and never managed a game because of the ridiculous, I will say again, sign stealing scandal in Houston, which he was wrapped up in. And that's why he has not gotten a job since. Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. The most overrated scandal in the history of baseball, in my mind. And I will continue to say that. Yeah, again, all those teams are gone in a flash. And but they all, again, Drew, is there no validity to the fact that I suppose, baseball thinks they're getting an advantage because they get rested, get their pitching rotation in order. But again, baseball teams are used to playing every day. And then it should be 7 games. So if you lose that first game, these teams are in a hole right away. You lose the first game in a 5-game series, you're really in a bad spot. At home. And they all lost the first game at home. And they all sat around for the better part of a week. John will be at the MetLife Central Gate. And by game time, 200 level section. Come visit me. Well, John, I would do that if A, I had a ticket. If B, the Jets weren't playing there. Someday, you know what? I got a buddy of mine who can give me tickets to Patriots, but MetLife. I don't want to go there unless I'm seeing the Jets. You work concerts? Because we go to concerts there more than I go to football games these days. Seen Kenny Chesney the last couple of times he's been there, and some other guys. I don't know if you work the concerts or not. I'm sure we'll be there sometime next summer. Look, one team is for sure the regular season and the post. One team is for sure. I think it means one thing is for sure. The regular season and the postseason are 2 different seasons. I totally agree, John. But I don't think the 5-game. First of all, I don't think the layoff, because you changed. But again, I get it. They're 2 different seasons. But why are you changing basically? Diametrically changing the way the teams approach the new season by not playing every day. Now you get into the 7-game series with the LCS and the World Series, and you're going to play basically every day except the travel day, which is the way it should be. And they're playing 7-game series, which they should be. Since they're so worried about the length of the whole year, shorten the season or get rid of the extra wild card team. Bingo. Last point. How about we make it simple? It'll never happen. Let's make it simple. Go back to 2 divisions in each league and play an LCS and a World Series 7 games apiece. It'll never happen because we want to let teams. I mean, should you play all year and be the best team? It's in football. I get it. It's a 16-game season. Let a few more teams in. Well, they'll keep letting more teams in too. So we're like hockey and basketball, and there's 16 teams in each freaking. That's not right. 8 teams in each conference getting in. I thought that was what it was, Jen. We got to get ready to wrap it up here in a second, guys. I'm happy with all these blue bloods are gone except the O's. Well, they got screwed the same way that the Dodgers did and the Braves did, Kenny. Why wouldn't you feel the same way about the O's? Too bad you lost. Those are the rules. Braves have a history of stumbling in the playoffs. Well, they did win the World Series 2 years ago. Their history, though, is not good. As we know, what they win under Bobby Cox, I think they won 14 straight AL East titles. And I think they won one World Series, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yes. Thank you, Drews. I forgot about that, too. We also have a 17-game schedule. More isn't always better. Lock of the week is the Bills. I'm taking Miami in my survivor pool, but I like the Bills a lot. O's played a hot team, as did the others. I get, but you know what, though? Kenny, they got a chance to get hot or stay hot because they kept playing every day. 95 with Cox. They beat Cleveland, I believe, right? Did you ever play at the Mohawk Golf? I played there just a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't impressed with the course. The layout was really nice. And it's only about 12 minutes from my house. They do look like they have a nice clubhouse and stuff there. We didn't go inside. We went down to the flats and had a couple of beers afterwards. But the layout of the course was great, but the condition of the course was terrible. Tee boxes were like a joke. It was awful. They do nothing to upkeep the tee boxes. It was not fun. I got to get ready to wrap it up here, guys. I'm going to start some music and we'll answer these last things. But at 11, I forgot a couple minutes. 10:30, we're going to wrap it up. Let me get these last comments out. John, Giants are the worst team in the NFL. Well, thank you, because that gives my Patriots a leg up, I guess, on somebody. Like 120. Kenny. Your O's would have been done faster then. O's were a year ahead of themselves anyway. The Dodgers and Atlanta losses were very telling. Yeah, they were telling about the fact that they should have been 7-game series. I don't like the playoff process the way it's set up. 2 different seasons, I get John's point, but it is what it is. Guys, great show today. Great impact from you guys. Great input from you guys, I should say. Impact as well. Lots of disagreement, which is good. Discourse is good. You guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy the football, and I will see you on Wednesday with the College Football Huddle. We'll be right back here next week at 8:30 a.m. Eastern with this show, Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Have a great night.